Hey, what's up? So I wanted to make a little video about Mexicans and Native Americans, okay? Now, everything I'm about to say is 100% accurate. I'm telling you this because I'm not going to say nothing else but the truth. Let's just put it this way. If you don't believe me, do your research yourselves, okay? Now, a lot of people have this stupid belief that Mexicans and Native Americans are two different groups of people or two different groups of race, okay? Now, I don't understand how people are so ignorant and so stupid and so ignorant. Again, I truly do not understand this, okay? Because it's just so damn obvious. And, like, there's no other way to look around it. I mean, it's right in front of your damn sight. Like, people are just so fucking stupid, man. People don't understand that Mexicans, all right, it's not a race, okay? It's not, I can never pronounce the word, but it's not a race, okay? Nor Native Americans, okay? Native Americans is anybody, okay? Native Americans, it's just supposedly, and remember, let me make this very clear to you people before I get started. Here's an example, okay? And I want people to understand the logical common sense of colonization, okay? If you go into someone's house, right? And let's say you steal their car, right? Obviously, right, if you want to keep the car, which obviously would be stupid, right? But this is an example, and obviously this is something that it's fiction, okay? It's not real, okay? Obviously, to steal it, you would have to do more things, but this is just a quick example, okay? If you steal a car, right, and if you want to keep the car, right, the first thing you need to do once you stole the car, okay, you don't want the rightful owner of the vehicle to locate their vehicle because it's stolen, right? So, in order to keep the stolen vehicle, right, in other words, you would have to disguise it different, okay? So, let's say, for example, you stole the car, you have it on you, you're in possession of it. The best thing to do so you could keep that car in your possession, you would have to do something for it to look different, for the owner will not recognize what's his property, okay? So, if you're the thief, you're going to paint it different, you're going to put probably new rims on it, you're probably going to do, whatever, a makeover on the vehicle, okay? That way, whenever the owner is out there, and if you're out there and you guys come across each other, the owner won't recognize that you have his car, okay? I think that makes perfect sense what I'm about to tell you, okay? Now, the U.S. government, okay, they came to America, okay? Now, after they arrived, obviously after they realized how gentle, warm, felt, kindful, loving, peaceful people the indigenous people were, well, coming out of Europe, right, and witnessing all the Black Death and the murdering, the killing, and the racism occurring in their own homeland, well, they come and they stumble across Native or indigenous people of the Western Hemisphere. They see how loving and caring people they are, and the people in America were that way because at that time, people did not believe there was no government. They did have a society, but not a government, okay? Everyone worked as a unit, okay? The government took care of the people. Water was clean. The streets were clean. Everything was lovely. No diseases. People lived to 130 years old at that time, okay? So, when the white man came, all filthy, dirty, full of diseases, and struggling, and not even having nowhere to eat, well, obviously, they're coming off ships like animals and dogs. They don't have nothing back at their own homeland. So when the indigenous people came across them, what do? They helped them. Because in that society that they were living in, there was no poverty. There was none of the bullshit that the white man was going through. This is the reason why the white man came over here to America and started to rob shit. Because back in Europe, all of that shit was wealth. All of that shit was worth stuff. European people were coming to America with a different mindset than the indigenous people of the Western Hemisphere, okay? They had the mindset of giving, caring, and taking care of one another. The Europeans came with the mindset of hunger, disaster, killing, raping, all of that shit that was going on already in Europe at the 1400s. This is why the Black Death was going on, okay? Now, can you understand the two different mindsets of two different groups? Obviously, it's easy to understand. So, at that point, all of the land of America was brown indigenous people, okay? All of it. No borders, no country name, none of the bullshit, okay? When I mean America, I mean all of Latin America as well, to Canada, okay? To the United States, downtown to Mexico, to South America. All of those people were indigenous people, okay? There was no names, there were no borders, there was no walls, there was none of that shit, okay? All of them roamed freely, okay? Now, there was tribes, yes. There was different tribes like the Mayas, what's it called? Mayas, what's the other word? I forgot. Well, the Aztecs. There was different groups of people, obviously, but they were all the same unit, okay? There was no Puerto Rican, none of that shit existed. They didn't call themselves that. They all looked like one another. This is why everybody towards Latin America, all the way to Mexico, all the way to Canada, they all have the same skin tone. Now, when you start going up towards Canada, they turned a little bit more Asian, but they're Latinos, or not Latinos. Latinos are from Italia, from Europe. I meant, sorry about that. They are indigenous people, okay? If you look at them, they look kind of Asian-wise. They look kind of like Asian, but they're brown. They're indigenous people, okay, people? Do you understand me? Now, when the white man came, he started to split the land apart, okay? And then after they were conquering and, spreading their disgusting diseases around America, well, obviously that helped a lot towards gaining control of the land that they stumbled across on, okay? But at the end of the day, that is how they were killing and destroying our beautiful way of life, okay? And obviously, right, while killing and the diseases that they brought, right, and obviously these people have better armory because they're coming from an old land where there's nothing but killing and murdering and raping, okay? There's nothing but chaos, okay? Now, here in America at that time, none of that existed, okay? There was no crimes, none of that bullshit existed. One another would take care of one another. One another would build homes for one another. If one was poor, everybody would, get together and build a home for that person. Nobody lived on the streets, okay? Everyone helped everyone at that time. This is why there was no diseases in America, okay? So, obviously, once the white, dirty, filthy European came and filled us with diseases, well, we started to die, okay? But after that, obviously, the dirty, rapist, filthy Europeans, some of them, not all of them, all right? Some of them would obviously have sexual intercourse with our women, all right? And others, well, they didn't, all right? But at the end of the day, okay, we are all indigenous, okay? Back at that time, okay? So it aggravates me when I hear people say that Native Americans and Mexicans are different. I just always think that's the most stupidest thing to say, man. It's dumb, okay? Because let's remember here, the only thing that divides our group of people is a border. That's it, okay? That border did not exist back then. And there was once a time that Arizona, California, New Mexico belonged to Mexico, okay? So those natives that are there now, at a certain point, they were Mexicans if they were in the same place that they are right now. But back then, when it was called Mexico, they were then Mexicans, okay? That's what I want people to understand, that people who have this stupid mindset, they don't seem to understand. Back then, none of this shit existed. And it's not even back then. This has been only here for 120 years, okay? This country is only 250 years. It's not that old, man, okay? The Spaniards arrived 500 years ago, okay? The Spaniards arrived 1492. This country declared itself independent by the Britain on 1776, okay? At the end of the day, okay, indigenous people, Native American people, they're all the same damn people, okay? The only thing that changed is that once the white man called this part of America home and labeled it or colonized it and taken it away from Mexico, all they did is now the people that are here in the land of America, well, they just gave them a new label and that's it, okay? And then the people from Mexico got a new label and that's it, okay? That's it. One of the things by doing that is obviously, if you give Mexicans, all right, the label of Native American, okay? Guess what happens to the people who are Mexican who believe that their identity is the Mexican name? If you give them the identity of Native American, then they're going to become more hostile towards the people who are stealing the land from them. So it's better to keep them in believing that they're Mexican, which Mexican, like I said, is a damn name that was given by our people. But at the end of the day, we never identify ourselves as these damn names of the countries and shit. But at the end of the day, Native Americans is another word that is not real. Native. Anybody could be native to anywhere. White people are native to Europe. So, if you go to Europe, the people out there are native Europeans, okay? That's native Europeans, native white people, okay? If you go to Asia, native Asians, okay? That's the way it works. Native American, that's it. Anybody is native to their land, okay? Native Africans, they're native to Africa. You go to Africa, there's black people. They're native to Africa, okay? Now, like I said, that's just a fucking label the government gave, okay? At the end of the day, it benefits the government to continue to have these two groups separated and not give them the right identity. So obviously they don't get empowered, and obviously it keeps those two groups separated from one another, okay? But in reality, they're all the same group of people, okay? It's the same thing if you go to Asia and China, Japan. All of this shit has been done by the same group of people, okay? This is why North and South Korea are the same group of people, but just because America and Russia got involved in politics over there, now you have North and South Korea, two different race groups, which is ridiculous because back then, that was all Korea. But because the European government of America got involved and Russian got involved, now they have North and South Korea, okay? So that is how that shit works, man. Besides that, peace out.